area. This is Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
860.
I can't believe I screwed that up. First time. 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Timon. She's Stacy Mitchell. We've got Nick behind the camera, and we all work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Mainline, the number one RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. Number 11 in the country, number 7 in the state, and we're streaming live every single week on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Just look up Tom Toole Sales Group. So we've got a killer show set up today. We got First State Brewing coming in from down in Delaware. Thanks to Sarah for setting that up on our third segment. But first, we're going to unpack a little bit about what's been going on in the market, kind of some of the things that we've seen happen that have been a little unusual in terms of what Zillow's predicting and some of these different things that have come across. So let's start with the housing market tracker. And what we saw here is that we saw slower than expected growth for active listings over the past week. We saw another 2,939 new homes come to the market. We saw rates kind of settle in at 7% post Fed meeting. So what are you guys feeling in the market right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm definitely feeling some hesitation just for feeling confident with where everything's at. It's kind of interesting for some people that I'm working with. I feel like there are properties that are coming up. For others, like you're kind of just like searching for the needle in the haystack.
I have to agree with that. I have a lot of people just sitting on the sidelines waiting for particular neighborhoods to open up. These are people that have put offers in before, and the past probably 3 months, there's been nothing for them to even submit offers. So, gosh, maybe 5 or 6 of those that are just sitting on the sidelines, and they're watching the interest rates tick up.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of stress on their part, but they all have super motivation to move. So, I'm hoping for them that after, the holidays over, meaning Labor Day, and kids are back to school, maybe, and the interest rates possibly go down a little bit. They seem to be trending that way. So maybe the opportunity is going to strike this fall for them. I'm hoping. But the folks that have real motivation to move, I mean, we're out there hoofing it. And interestingly enough, on Sunday, I took out some clients, and we were actually able to see 9 homes.
Wow.
So tell us more about that. Like, what was the price point? What were they looking for? Because that's not the norm.
9,
for sure.
Yeah. And the ones that made the top of their list, the 3, they're still on the market. So we're going back for second showings. They're out of town, so they're coming from Colorado. Second showings on Sunday. So, and I've been in contact with each of those agents.
Wow.
And there's still hope. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we can make it out on Saturday. But yeah, so they're looking for a little more than an acre of land, at least a 2-car garage, single family home. They're open to school districts. So for them,
That makes a big difference.
makes a huge difference, because we went everywhere from Media to Kennett Square to Westchester to Chatsford to Downingtown. And if you have the flexibility and you aren't looking in a specific neighborhood, like my people waiting on the sidelines, waiting for that certain home to open up there, then there's opportunity.
Yeah.
And, a couple of the houses that we looked at already had price drops. It kind of concerns me, because that might spur other buyers that were possibly interested to come back around. But, there's motivation on the seller part too, which is great.
Good.
So what you're talking about right now, what you two are seeing, it's exactly where I wanted to go with this segment, which is I had the opportunity to interview Lance Lambert last week from Fortune Magazine, and he's calling the current phenomenon as the lock-in effect, right? So what he means by that, when you hear the word lock-in effect, it's very real, and he has like this heat map where it's areas that saw a almost negative 40% decline year over year in new listings. And because of the pandemic boom and 2% and 3% rates, this is something that a lot of people around the country are talking about, because it's homeowners are reluctant to sell. and buy something new because of the shock involved with going to 6 or 7%. And we're in a seasonal market right now, meaning it's August. You're talking about like vacation. We've got back to school coming up. This is a time of year where a lot of folks historically, it's a slower time. Because of when you two got in the business, I mean, we didn't really like see, you probably aren't used to an August like this. So usually it's just kind of rock and roll. Let's go. So yeah, and some people are even saying that sellers are actually like going on strike. And there was a Zillow survey that revealed that the tipping point for homeowners locked into lower rates, that when they, homeowner locked in at like 5.5%, for example, is more likely to sell when rates fall below 6 than one locked into a 4.5%. So a lot of this is going to depend on where people's rates are and what they're going to be able to move into. And I think that's really the logjam with inventory now. So you've got people that are motivated on the buy side, which is very true, but the sellers just they're still holding on. So do you feel like there's a lock-in effect when you're talking to people on the phone, when you're having conversations with potential consumers or potential, I shouldn't say consumers because they're all consumers, but potential parties to a transaction? Is this something that's coming up more and more? Because I looked at just on my last 5-6 days of calls, I think I've talked to 100 some people, and it's my rate's too low. I don't know where I'm going to go. Now, the people that are moving, it's like, hey, I can't take care of the house anymore, or I've got something else going on. So, does this data support what you're seeing in the field? That's my question here.
I would say yes. But what is interesting for like I currently have a client who is going to be like looking to buy and then, line up the sale of their place. And it was for a very long time, like, I mean, given what rates are, blah, blah, blah. No, but like it's so funny. Once they like start looking, then it's like the bug has bitten them and they're
That's
like
good.
into it. You know what I mean? And they're like starting to like see more stuff that they would be interested in. And now they understand that this is the market and that while they are locked into a, very low rate right now for what they want to get, and what makes sense for their lives, like moving is what that scenario is. And once they get excited about it and start looking, some of those other things, they just kind of come to terms with it, and it's not like a nonstop.
Yeah, I can see, especially people if they have kids and they're busting out at the
Mhm.
seams at their house. I mean, at some point you have to say, okay, I have to give up this 4.5%
Mhm.
because if not, we're all just gonna like, step on each other here. in the
Right, right.
house. So I guess that, when people hit their tipping point, then they make that decision.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that a lot of people that I speak to too, potential sellers, they are locked into their rate. And it is, well, where would we go? And we're thinking about just doing renovations, updates, additions, things like that.
Mhm.
So I understand. I can sympathize with them because they could probably add to their house, a little better of a rate or less expensive, create more space that they want, um, or do upgrades and fall in love with their kitchen again, or fall in love with their primary bedroom and their ensuite, whatever their projects may be. But yeah, it's and I'm hitting those same roadblocks, Tom. With people locked into the rates.
So the lock-in effect, I don't see this changing anytime soon unless rates come down, and that to me is probably the clearest thing here. And when you look at the Zillow survey that's out there, or just read through the lock-in effect itself and the stuff that Lance has been putting out there, it tends to make a lot of sense, because he's calling it a seller strike that only 7 out of the nation's largest 200 markets are back to pre-pandemic inventory levels. Now the flip side here is we've seen inventory jump up a good bit. We're at the highest number of homes for sale year to date. And it sounds like you're seeing a bit of that. Are you seeing this with other clients that they're kind of like finding some more options there right now? Or what are you seeing in the field when it comes to inventory?
It's the clients that are very flexible. They're the ones that are having the best luck out there.
Yeah.
The ones that are very hyper focused on a school district or a neighborhood, they're the ones that aren't having. That's where the inventory is still lacking, or what comes up. it's it lasts 3 days on the market, multiple offers, and they get beat. But yeah, that's what I'm seeing out there.
Yeah. I mean, I've recently had 2 cases of finding properties that actually have been on the market for that, like, 15 plus days, like whatever, maybe
Mhm.
they've done a price drop. So, that's where you do have a little bit more wiggle room to negotiate. However, I feel like um my on like the buy side, they were maybe taking it a little too far to the extreme for what
Mhm.
the type of offer that they were writing.
Oh, wow.
So, at this, I mean, they're not going to give the house away,
Yeah.
So, I think it's like finding that sweet spot of how to still make a good competitive offer that both sides would feel good about, but not going too far in either direction.
Well, and I've seen buyers do this. I mean, you're talking about your folks. We had another agent on our team. She went through this where the buyer has a home sale contingency.
Mhm.
The seller agrees to it. Then he starts micromanaging the terms. And the agent called me and said, I'm a little concerned he's going to lose the house. I said, you're right. Like, this is what's going to happen. You've recently got one of these accepted. And all of a sudden, that extreme negotiation, another offer comes in, it's just you're out. I mean,
Right.
they don't even come back to you in those scenarios
Right.
because of the way you approach those negotiations because it ticks everybody off. And
Right. It really does. It
Mhm.
puts a bad taste in your mouth, and it makes you kind of feel like this is gonna be too tedious. Like, you know, I'm not I'm not doing this the whole way through the transaction.
well, yeah, and I mean, I don't blame them. I mean, you kind of, and the writing's usually on the wall. And now I think that this particular buyer is probably going to be in a position where this person's ready to go. So if knowing we're in this like lock-in effect market, and I think that there's two pieces of advice. We want to look at what do buyers need to be thinking and what do sellers need to be thinking right now. What's your advice for buyers if it kind of given all the experience that you're seeing because sellers are locked in. Rates I don't think are going anywhere at least until September, and depending on what the Fed does. Although we do have inflation data coming out this week, so we'll see
Mhm.
what happens with that because if that comes down, it's the consumer price index, and if that core inflation's a little lighter, that actually might cause rates to come down because they were at 7.25 earlier in the week. They're already down to 7 this week, so we've been kind of bouncing around there. What are you telling buyers right now that want to transact? What's your advice to them? And then I'll talk about the seller side here.
Well, for my clients that are looking to buy, and if it's the house that they want, I mean, they have to go all in because I think for the most part, my clients that I've been working with for a while and they're looking for specific areas, they've already learned this lesson.
Mhm.
They might have went a little bit lighter on their offer than,
Mhm.
and they got beat out. So they know they missed. And I know they're thinking about those homes that they missed out on.
Mhm.
I just know it.
Yeah.
So I I think they're in a better position to that they understand fully this market's not going to change anytime soon,
Yeah.
and they have to go all in if they want, if they want the next great house on the market. Um, and so, I just try to keep them motivated, keep sending them options, checking in with them, giving them updates on the market and where the interest rates are and what we project, what we're speculating, what the experts are speculating. So I just try to keep them their heads in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd say, like, for me, it's keeping them positive, bringing them back to, the motivation and for what is the reason for the move. Um, and then just, if they have for clients that have lost out on past offers, kind of as we're getting ready to structure a new one, um, going back and kind of reflecting on, "Hey, this is where in previous offers things fell short." And depending on how long you've been working with the client or how long ago they put in that last offer, the house they lost out on may have already closed. So now you can see, like, you can go back and look and see, this is what it settled at. So,
Mhm.
this wasn't us just like pulling
Trying to
numbers
get
out
you to
of nowhere.
overpay.
Yeah, like this is where it came in at.
Mhm.
And, running your comps and showing where like you're expecting this next one to come in at. And just giving them all the information that you can and let them decide how strong they wanna go with it. Um, because, yeah, in this, like, bringing back to what Stacy said, depending on how particular the client is with location or neighborhood or, school district or whatever, there might not be another one that, you can't just expect that tomorrow there's going to be a bunch more that are options.
Mhm.
So when the right one comes up, if it's right, like give it a real shot.
This advice doesn't just apply to the 2023 market, by the way. This has always been the case that, if you micromanage the terms or over negotiate, you're going to take people off. If you find a home that's going to hit a lot of your boxes, you may still be waiting for one that comes on the market because some people are looking for something really particular. So this is sound advice no matter what the market conditions are. I want to flip to the seller side because this is some interesting data from the Zillow survey that 23% of homeowners are thinking about selling their home within the next 3 years or have already listed their home for sale. That's an 8% increase of homeowners who indicated the same a year earlier. And that share gets even higher with mortgage holders locked into rates above 5%, where 38% of those say they're open to selling in the next 3 years. So even though we're in this shortage of homes right now, there's out there, and we're going to talk about what agents in this lock-in effect. If rates come down a little bit, this Zillow survey is fascinating. It really shows that the percent of homeowners planning on selling their home by reported mortgage rate, it's much higher when they're above 5% because the economically it makes sense for them. It's not that big of when they're below 5%, the financial pain is there. That comes to affordability. And the inflection point is somewhere between 4 and 5%, where you look at what's going to cause people to move. But if there's that many people thinking about moving in the next 3 years, and you're getting frustrated with what's happening, I think if you're a seller, I'd be trying to beat that crowd right now. If you've got a place to go, or you're not having to buy a new home, because I think that's really where it gets sticky for a lot of folks. It's going from a 3 to a 7. I understand the math there. I can't. There's no objection handler to come over that. That's just a fact. And if you're telling people it's a good time to do that, you're probably giving them bad advice and prioritizing the commission over the actual best interest of the client. The flip side is that if you're a seller and you've got a place lined up to go, you're thinking about next year, or there's some situation where maybe you're going to rent, right? I mean, there's a lot of people looking at all those things. I'd be moving ahead of the market because the demand is so frothy right now. I mean, there was another agent on our team, anecdotally, she showed me something today and said, hey, this home has a $150,000 stucco estimate attached to it. It's priced in the mid-6s. My client wants to offer X. What do you think? And by the time she sent me everything, it went under contract at the asking price.
Wow. Yeah.
With $150,000 worth of repairs. So, I mean, that alone kind of tells you what the demand's like. If I'm a seller right now, I'm thinking, how can I beat these people? Because the rates aren't hurting the prices, at least in our marketplace here. I don't see any data that indicates that otherwise. And if you've got almost a quarter of all the sellers coming to the market, well, the normal term's it's like 5%. So this is an opportunity for sellers. If you've got your next move planned out or ready to go, you should probably be moving up your timetable to take advantage of the market because of the demand that you're talking about here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. In particular, I have a client and she's listing for that very reason. She, she's a little older, so she doesn't want to maintain the home anymore. She's done. She did new windows, new HVAC. She's like, I'm finished. I'm just going to rent. She said, for the first time, I'll feel like I have no responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Kids out of the house. She's by herself. She can do whatever she wants to do once she unloads this house.
Okay.
So for that, I'm like, wow, what an amazing sense of freedom for her.
Mm-hmm.
So now that's what she's doing. She's trying to secure her next apartment, and she's really excited.
Yeah.
So that's an option
Right.
that some people can consider. And she's not afraid of renting. She actually is embracing it because she feels like I can just move anytime, anywhere.
Right.
Maybe if I want to move out west with my kids or somewhere
Mm-hmm.
else.
Mm-hmm.
So she's creating her options and she's creating her sense of freedom, which I was like, wow, I'm a little envious of that. You know what I mean?
Right.
It sounds fun, actually.
Yeah.
But that's a different way to look at it.
Sure.
Well, but she's in that, like, you talk about the motivating factors. The house is too big for her, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not, those costs aren't going to go down to maintain the house. The time
Right.
that it takes to maintain the house isn't going to go down. So this is what people should be thinking about now because there's still a lot of time left in the year and there's opportunity. People are going to start talking about Christmas, like next thing you know, because we're not even back to school yet, but school starts in like 30 days, at least I know it's every school district's different. At least for our kids, it's about 30 days. And there's time left to do this stuff. And if I'm a seller right now, I'm really looking at, do I have my next place ready to go? And if I do, should I take advantage of the market now? And if you're not getting that advice from your agent, it's time to hire a new agent and hear what it is, because the old wait till the spring market adage isn't the case given what's going on in the market. You've got to understand these trends. And looking at 23% of sellers looking to move in the next 3 years, looking at the demand you ladies are talking about, to me, it's a no-brainer to make that decision if the next spot is already secured.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's how to beat the lock-in effect if you're a seller. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to take all this information and talk about how real estate agents can solve this in their business next on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
For the best local mortgage service and great rates on your money, look no further than Mortgage America. We've been operating in the greater Philadelphia area for 40 years with a focus on smooth, easy access to home purchasing. Whether you're a first-time buyer, upsizing or downsizing, or just refinancing, we have programs for you. We also have closing cost assistance programs and access to subsidized interest rates. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. To learn more, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000. We always have a person available to take your call with around-the-clock human service. Purchase your home with the personalized, local service you find at Mortgage America.
Mortgage America is an equal housing lender. NMLS 128501.
The Tom Toole Sales Group is the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania with over $165 million in volume for 2021. I'm Tom Toole, and our team has achieved that kind of success by being a great place to work with and to work for. No one knows Greater Philly better than we do. We know real estate, but more importantly, we're real people. We hire the best agents, and we give them all the tools to succeed. Even our brand new agents sell 17 to 24 homes a year because our team delivers the best experience in real estate. Teams deliver a better experience than individuals, and we're a top 1% real estate team in the country. We call it AAA service. We're your advocate, ally, and advisor, because this isn't a transaction to us. It's a relationship. If you're buying or selling a home, call the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX main line at 610-692-6976 or visit tomtoole.com. That's tomtoole.com. Sell your home for more, and remember the real estate golden rule. You always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
When you're getting a mortgage, you shouldn't have to sacrifice great service just to get a great rate. At Mortgage America, we've been lending with this philosophy for over 35 years. We have access to great low rates without the complications and delays of big or online banks. We're a local Pennsylvania lender with loan officers that you can actually meet. As PHFA's #1 lender, we specialize in all residential mortgage programs, including first-time buyer programs and low down payment options. For your free pre-approval, call us at 610-439-8000 or apply online at mymortgageamerica.com. Mortgage America is an equal housing lender. NMLS 128501.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income? Whether you have a license or not, call us today at 610-692-6976 or visit tomtoole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX main line. Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Stacy Mitchell. She's Sarah Timon. We've got Nick behind the camera, and we all work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Mainline, the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania since 2018. Number 11 in the country, number 7 team in the state. And what I want to talk about now, and we're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram every week. Just subscribe and follow. We talked about this lock-in effect, right? And the challenge I hear from agents is everyone's saying, I want more listings because of the lock-in effect. People are getting beat up by buyers. Is this your sentiment right now? Like, what if you were to take the temperature of each of your respective businesses, and I'll do it for our team after you guys kind of share. Is that a gap in your business? Is that something we need to work on doing? Like, what's your take on the listing side versus the purchase side?
I think they're just as aggressive, actually. So I know listings are golden right now, that's for sure. And I know we're proactive at trying to get more listings in our firm. Definitely getting beat up with buyers, whether it be getting beat out by offers or like Sarah was saying, her example of, okay, a house is sitting on the market for 15 days and the buyer gets this brilliant idea of like a super low ball. And it's like, what do you think?
Here's $1.
Yeah. Oh, they must be desperate. It's been on the market 15 days. Well, it doesn't really work that way. But yeah, so it's getting beat up by the buyers. It definitely is motivating to scout out more of those sellers and do
Right.
the work that's necessary to get more listings. That's for sure. But then, on the flip side of that too, sometimes you have sellers that have some unrealistic thoughts about what their home is worth. I had that this weekend. And, it was such an unrealistic expectation. And sometimes it's hard to bring them back to reality.
Right.
And that was kind of where I found myself this weekend. So I think it's really on both sides.
Right. I mean, I think the key is to have a lot of clients, like so that because like for the buyers, like you certainly get beat up a bit with them. Some tend to, kind of revamp or like regroup and go out like, with, I'm going to write strong offers. I'm going to like get out and see the properties. Others are like, I need to take a break. This is like too emotionally draining on me. So like you're gonna have that going on with your buyers, and with your sellers. Some listings you put them up, they take your advice. It goes like that. It's a quick, smooth, great transaction. Other times it's a battle, and I think the only way to like keep your sanity is to like just have a good mix of everybody.
Yep. A solid pipeline.
Right.
You said it best. The key is to have a lot of clients. And, I look at this a little differently in that you can have a lot of buyers, but there's a finite amount of buyers you're going to be able to service effectively because of the time commitment involved, getting them into properties, balancing your schedule, having a life outside of work. So that only scales so far. Now, the flip side is there's not a lot of homes to show right now in some cases, unless you're like Stacy and have 9 properties you can show someone on a weekend, but they're out of the area, so it makes it a little easier. So if you can understand how often you're going to be out with them, what that looks like, you can scale as many people as possible. It's about time management. The flip side is when you're dealing with a listing, because not every client's going to always listen to you, or they take time to take your advice because they see that you're right and then how it works out. It's much easier servicing a home seller with client maintenance calls and a relationship over the phone and communicating versus meeting them constantly to show properties. So listings can drive your business. And the flip side is you take a listing, you get more inbound activity that comes in. It's going to drive activity more. It's going to put your name up more places. Stacy, Sarah, whoever is going to be more recognizable. And that's where a lot of folks don't quite get it. But the challenge is it's harder to get listings. A lot of people, they want like you met with someone over the weekend, and the fact that they even hired the other agent that you are now gaining this property from and nothing was done. They called us. I don't need to go through all that. It's mind-blowing to me. It's, just that you're able to share things like, hey, your loan might be assumable, and the other agent has no idea what that even means. That was like news to the seller, right?
Oh, yeah.
So when you look at this, it's about knowledge and about, it's almost our job to get the word out about, hey, here's why you should use us. Because most agents, to be in the top 50% of listing agents last year, you had to sell 2.7 listings, according to the National Association of Realtors. So you both have beaten that already this year. Congratulations. Here's how sellers and buyers determine their agents. These are NAR stats. We've gone over these before. 89% of buyers would recommend their agent or use them again. That person now becomes a seller once they buy a home. 73% of sellers say they would use the same agent again. Here's how many actually do. 36% of sellers choose their agent through referral. So a friend, family member, some sort of connection. And 27% of sellers use the agent they worked with in the past.
Wow.
So you have this, let's just take the 89 down to 27. I mean, you're talking about a delta there about 62%, I'm doing the math right. 62% of agents just totally drop the ball because they're not staying in touch with their clients. So if you want more sellers, the first thing to do is just talk to the people that you've sold homes to on a regular basis. You don't need to send them gifts or do anything crazy like that. A video email with how the market is shaping up. Quarterly calls around the holidays. This is stuff that's not hard to do, and these people already like you. It's actually an easy phone call. That alone will help you get more sellers. But if you're not focusing on, hey, how do I keep these people from becoming part of that 62%, that's a lot of lost income. It's almost mind-blowing to me, and so many agents just don't do it. for whatever reason. So we're have this big initiative now that we're rolling out at our team. I mean, you guys are a big part of it. Sarah, you had a great plan that included not door knocking one property, which I really liked. So we've made this commitment that we're really going to go after listings very heavily because of all these reasons. It's going to drive your business better. So what have you learned just from these past couple weeks we've been working on this, and how is that going to? What are you doing differently in your business now than maybe you were doing a year ago? Because this is different. I think before people were just kind of playing defense and just catching what came in, versus now it's going out and attacking the market.
I think just I'm focused more on even doing mailers. If I know that we talked about this in one of our meetings. You see a home that has a dumpster, or it's not the nicest house on the block. I've been taking notes. I always have a notepad with me, and I just jot down the address. Then when I get home, I can look it up and I can send them a letter. Has my signature and I put my business card in there. And I also will send them information on what they could potentially sell for. Based on a Zillow thing or whatever, or what has comped in their neighborhood. So I've been focused on that too, but more circle dialing, so calling specific neighborhoods. And I can do that because I do have clients that they really want to get into these certain neighborhoods. So there's a lot of people that I've been talking to just around these now. So some of it's not productive as far as, you get some sellers that are absolutely, or homeowners that are like, no, I'm staying, I'm never leaving. But sometimes you can start a conversation with people.
Yeah.
And I have gotten people to call me back if I had to drop a message. So I'm focused on a number of things that I didn't do a year ago. So I've already gotten a couple of listings, a Sphere listing, which was really nice. But the other thing too I'm focused on is all my closed clients, the people that I sold houses to, the buyers. I've been touching base with them, 5 to 7 of them a week, trying to reach out, whether I leave a message or talk to them just to catch up with them. And it's refreshing, right? It's nice.
Yeah.
Because it's a happy conversation.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would say definitely I am trying to be a lot more proactive with my past clients. Just being like, all right, who else do you know? Or even, in some cases where we weren't actually able to close on a deal, they kind of, I've one that just like decided to relocate to a different state, but they have family in this state, and I did, do a good job representing them while we were looking here. So being like, rather than being like, oh, that sucks, there went that one, being like, all right, so who else do you know here? Like, who else can I help you out with? So just like asking for the business. And then with Sphere as well, I feel like just talking about real estate more, like not like pushing it crazily, but like, real estate's one of those topics that does come up. And rather than just giving like a couple short answers or whatever, like, let's dive into it, And I think also I'm trying to like put more out there on social media just for, so that I'm not so much of like a secret agent.
Well, I think that's a great place to start, and you've gotten some good reactions from that already. And that's just calling the people you've done business with. That's like the easiest thing agents can do. You're talking about these properties that look like they need work. I mean, how many times have you seen a property that had a dumpster outside and then it's got a for sale sign up like a month later?
Yeah.
And you're like, why didn't I reach out to them? So that's a great strategy, and that's about being in the arena and understanding that, hey, I'm looking for listings. I'm not just looking to sell this buyer a house. Circle dialing to me is one of the best things an agent can do right now, because there's things that have worked well for me in the past. For sale by owners, expired listings, there's not a lot of them right now. The for sale by owners are selling, and expired listings, there's not many, or there's like a real reason they expired, like, hey, we've got a title issue we can't clear, or something else. So just even people you've spoken to in the past that didn't move maybe like a year or two ago, I think that's a really smart thing to be doing, because the market's up so much, maybe that changes their opinion. And what I heard from both of you is I'm just having conversations about listing houses every day, and I'm looking for listings constantly. And if you make that part of your business on top of the other stuff you have working, and maybe it's a time blocking thing, right? Like, hey, the first hour of my time where I'm looking to book new appointments are seller focused. The second half hour or the second hour is buyer focused, or whatever your schedule looks like. If you're not being intentional about it, you're never going to get listings. The listings you're going to get are going to be the people that you sell a home to, and it'll just fall into your lap. But you're talking about calling your sphere and then you get one from your sphere. Did you call the person in your sphere that gave you the listing or that you got the listing with?
Well, I knew that they were going to be listing.
Okay, smart. So you attacked it, which is good.
Well, I didn't want to come off too strong.
Sure.
So, I kind of like waited for my moment, my opportunity with, hey, this is what's going on over there in that neighborhood, with some comps. And actually, it was like, wow, really? They went for that much? Yeah, they did. So, and that was kind of how it opened up the door. So sometimes they have to be a little strategic,
Yeah.
Asking for business is one thing, but then you don't want to come on to
Yeah.
hey, can I sell your house?
Exactly.
Because then people, I don't want to turn anybody off like that. But there's a fine line between being aggressive and.
Wait, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Nope.
You used the CMA a day campaign.
Yeah.
We've heard this before, right? You actually just give them some value and show these people you know what you're talking about. And those people already knew you, right? So you fall into that category that it was like it was sort of that referral, someone that you knew. You delivered value and actually gave them something worth looking at. And magically, you got the listing.
Yeah.
Were they talking to other agents or what happened there? Tell us more.
Other agents are calling them. As a matter of fact, when I was getting the documents signed, the agents were calling them.
That's happened to me before.
So, it's like, hey, that was another agent. It's like, oh, okay. Tell them it's taken care of.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty aggressive. Kudos to the other agents, too, for making those calls.
Well, and that happens to me all the time, but there's a way to be aggressive and not come off too aggressive. And that's part of, hey, let me show you what's going on in the market. Let me help you out a little bit here. And if you have that approach of, hey, I'm not worried about you hiring me right now. I just want to give you some good information. We recently were able to book an appointment with someone who bought a home with another agent. And they said, our agent was great. And I said, great. Well, how about a second opinion? If you don't like what we have to say, throw us out. We go to the house. And now he still hasn't met with the other agent yet, which I think bodes well for us. And this is like a $900,000 listing. So is it worth your time meeting with them? Probably. And if you don't go meet with someone, you're never going to have that opportunity. So what I'm hearing from both of you is this is like a constant thing. It's like I'm really out there on the hunt for listings, and I'm working everything I feel comfortable working to try to get somebody. Has this changed your mindset a little bit around your business?
Oh, yeah. For me, for sure.
I mean, I heard you on the phone today doing this. So, like, is this? Are you thinking a little differently about your business with this kind of focus right now?
Yes, and I think like really kind of like not letting go of ones that you have. Like it's kind of easy for things to like fall to the side or to forget about it, but like definitely, always putting in my in my calendar like to check back in with this person, because I've got a couple that are kind of like off market at the moment, and like that's just not getting the marketing and the attention that it needs. So just kind of bringing them up to speed with how this could play out if we really put all of our manpower behind it.
Well, and to me, that's where I find that it's so critical that you just have to, it has to be a focus. And so many people, they think these things are going to come in magically. It's easier to get buyers to work with you. It's harder to get listings. And if you spend the time trying to find those folks and you can execute on the appointment like you did, Stacy, or Sarah, you did over the weekend, that skill takes time, right? You've practiced that a lot. Most people won't do it. And it's because it's hard and they're going to have to compete with other folks. So in my view, the only thing to do is you got to make it a focus, have a goal you're going to hit, have a KPI. Here's my numbers. Here's what I'm going to do. And just keep doing it. And it's going to take time. Right? Like you don't get your first listing overnight. I mean, sometimes you can fall into one. And if you do, congratulations. If this isn't something you're working on a daily basis, start working on it and have a plan going into the day. I'm clear that's probably as important as anything else, like knowing who you're going to call and what you're going to do. All right. So we're going to take a quick break. We got First State Brewing coming in next. Sarah's got a connection with them. They're down in Delaware. Apparently the beer's pretty good is what you've told me.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll be right back on Toole Time, Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
You shouldn't have to deal with all the red tape when getting your mortgage from a big or online bank. At Mortgage America, we have access to big bank money, but with the personalized and detailed service of a local bank. We are here in your community and ready to serve with fast settlements, low down payment options, and first-time homebuyer programs. Pre-approval is free, no costs or commitments. For more information, visit our website at mymortgageamerica.com or give us a call at 610-439-8000.
Mortgage America's equal housing lender. NMLS 128501.
I'm Tom Toole of the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line. If you're thinking of becoming a real estate agent in the greater Philly area, I have a special offer for you. Our team did $165 million of volume in 2021, making us the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania and a top 1% team nationally. Our agents love us because we offer them a successful career, a great life, and an unbeatable culture. Agents who've been with us for at least a year average 30-plus sales. Even our brand new agents average 17 to 24 sales a year. We offer proven systems and expert training. We help you set more appointments and sell more houses. Now here's the offer. If you don't have a real estate license yet, we offer real estate scholarships so you can get one for free. Check it out at realestatescholarshipprogram.com or visit the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line at tomtoole.com. That's tomtoole.com. Get more out of your real estate career, and remember the real estate golden rule. You always get more when you work with Tom Toole.
When you're getting a mortgage, you shouldn't have to sacrifice great service just to get a great rate. At Mortgage America, we've been lending with this philosophy for over 35 years. We have access to great low rates without the complications and delays of big or online banks. We're a local Pennsylvania lender with loan officers that you can actually meet. As PHFA's #1 lender, we specialize in all residential mortgage programs, including first-time buyer programs and low down payment options. For your free pre-approval, call us at 610-439-8000 or apply online at mymortgageamerica.com. Mortgage America's equal housing lender. NMLS 128501.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income? Whether you have a license or not, call us today at 610-692-6976 or visit tomtoole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line. All right. Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Sarah Time, and she's Stacy Mitchell. We've got Nick behind the camera. We all work at the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line, and we've got First State Brewing here. So First State Brewing, you can visit their website. It's firststatebrewing.com. We've got Joe and Jeff here. They're down in Delaware. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about your brewery, and then we'll take it from there.
Awesome. So my name's Joe Spirat. I'm our quality and production manager at the brewery.
I'm Jeff Horn. I do marketing and creative.
And so we opened up in 2020, December of 2020. So right in the height of
Great
all
timing.
the COVID lockdowns. Yeah, when we
Awesome,
opened
yeah.
up, what was it, 30% capacity? Because
Wow.
we're not just a production brewery, we're also a restaurant as well. So opening during that took a lot to get used to. We actually got into distributing and packaging beer a lot quicker than we would. While we're here, may as well have a little beer.
Crack one open.
Yeah. So we opened in December of 2020. We started canning beer in April of 2021.
Wow.
So that is 3 months later, which is kind of unheard of for this industry. A lot of people kind of open a tap room, get things going, ease into it. But with COVID, we had to get that revenue stream coming in. So started up pretty early.
I think a lot of people in your industry and just the food and beverage industry in general really felt it during and had to pivot pretty aggressively. So what was that like getting ramped up and having to go from, all right, we're going to brew beer to now we got to can it all? Like, I mean, what was that like from a logistical standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of baptism by fire is the best way I can describe it. Because so my background before working for First State, I was with Dogfish Head. So I left a fairly well-established company to kind of start with this startup. So it was already a risk, but then we had to pivot. So early on, Jeff started with us as a beer server. I was doing stuff in the back of the brewery, and I was helping manage the tap room one day a week, which for me is completely new experience. I'm a scientist, so I've never had to deal with like working with the public. So after that, we very quickly had to pivot. So I started spending all my time in the back of the brewery. We already had the production size tanks, so we started brewing production batches. We started selling beer in 16-ounce 4-packs. Recently, we've also switched to doing 12-ounce 6-packs. But getting this dialed in, getting canning dialed in was a new thing for me as well. We ordered the can line as quickly as we could after we decided we were going to start producing. And then we started distributing beer in Delaware, Maryland, D.C., southeastern Pennsylvania. We've sent beer to Northern Virginia. We've had a drop to Miami. So, yeah.
So since this was like a brand new brewery, like this is probably a dumb question, but like is there recipes? Like how many beers do you have? And did you just have to like make them up as you go? Or did you already have like, I mean, I know that you're, I don't know, not like a chemist, but like maybe.
Well, I am.
You are a chemist.
I
So,
got
like,
my I have my undergrad in bio and chem from Arcadia in North Philly, and my master's in food science from Drexel. So yeah. So we have 2 brewing systems at the brewery. R&D system, which is 3 barrels, and a beer barrel is 31 gallons. So 3 times 31, 93 gallons. And then our production system is 20 barrels. And typically we brew on that 2 times to fill a 40-barrel tank. So for the most part, if we're going to test batch anything, we'll do it on the small system, see how it does in the tap room. If it does well, scale it up, move it out to distribution. So in early days, like I said, it was only kind of 3 to 4 months after we had started brewing. We didn't have a ton of recipes built up yet. So for the first year, I'd say, year and a half, we didn't make the same beer twice.
Wow.
So it wasn't until, what would you say, April of this year where we launched our core brands.
Yeah.
So all of these 4-packs, when they were coming out, they were new beer, and that's every 2 weeks. So 2 new beers pretty much every 2 weeks. So it's just now that we started to settle into using the same recipes. But up until that point, it's like anything. You make something, see if it does well, tweak it, change the recipe. Yeah.
Interesting.
I love that you guys are testing a whole bunch of stuff. I think that's important for any business. So what's stuck for you? Like, I mean, I think breweries always have like these like kind of people come and they have their favorites. So what's some of your better beers that you've seen are really popular? What do you want people to know about? And again, you can visit these guys at firststatebrewing.com. You're located where? Down in Middletown?
Yep. Middletown,
Delaware. All right,
Yep.
great. So what are some of your signature brews here that you've been able to develop since 2020?
The biggest thing for us has been kind of figuring out what the market wants. And we quickly realized that a lot of beers do way better in the tap room. A lot of beers do way better out in the market, out in distribution. So, for example, right now, everyone wants hazy IPAs, sours, and lagers are starting to become a more growing trend. In the tap room, I mean, we hang our hat. We try and be creative. We have some fun doing a lot of Belgian beers. My favorite thing to sell when I was out there was our Czech Dark Lager, which you might not go pick up on a shelf, but if you have me to sit there and sell you on it and sample you. So yeah, a lot of the more classic stuff in the tap room, and people still love their hazies. I still love my hazies. I know Joe does too, but classic styles there. And then when you get out into the distribution markets, it's a lot of hazy IPAs and sours, which is what the people want right now.
Yeah, that's actually one of the struggles because like Jeff talked about our Czech Dark Lager. I love that beer. That moves crazy fast in our tap room, but we canned it and sent it out to market, and it actually was really slow.
Okay.
Because when people are going out and buying beers, they're a lot more fickle, especially with craft beer. It's expensive. People aren't going to just take a gamble on something they've never had before. So we try our best, especially in the tap room, to keep a balanced portfolio of beers, because if a guest is coming in, they might not like IPAs. So if 75% of what you do is IPA, they're kind of out of luck. Distribution, like Jeff said, it's pretty IPA heavy, but that's what people are buying right now. But we do try to sneak in like our core passion projects in there. So I know a favorite coming up, releasing the end of this month, is Brewery Gnome. It's our Oktoberfest. So it's like our sour cans. We have an illustration on it for our Oktoberfest. We have a little gnome wearing like the classic like Oktoberfest outfit.
The lederhosen.
Yep.
Nice.
So that
Good work,
does
Sarah.
really well. Yeah. But we do that where we get to sneak in things that we're passionate about amongst all the other standard like hazy IPAs we're making. Not that we're not passionate about hazies. It's just it's nice to have variety sometimes.
Yeah, mix it up. And then you guys do a lot of neat like events at the brewery as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we have done, obviously we have our anniversary party every year, which we've only had 2 so far. Those are a lot of fun. We, in the past, have done chef and brewer curated food and beer experiences is what we call them. So we'll work together with our kitchen team and create a 5-course meal, pair them with 5 beers. And that's really fun for us because we could sit here for the next 8 hours and talk about beer. We love it that much. And there's so much cool stuff. So to showcase that to the public and tell you, like, you always hear about wine and food pairing, but beer and food, arguably in our eyes, pair even better. And there's so much science that can go behind it and so much detail that we just have a lot of fun with that. And then we get around, we get to do a lot of fun events up here in Philly, in Delaware. We've done some. We did one down in Miami last year. So it keeps us busy, but it's so much fun because we love geeking out on beer. I mean, we could seriously talk for the next day.
Jumping off what you were saying, I'm sure you guys have heard of sommeliers for wine.
Yep.
So there's a program called Cicerone, and that's basically the equivalent for beer. And so both Jeff and I are Cicerones. Jeff is a certified Cicerone, and I'm an advanced Cicerone.
We are sitting in the presence of 2 Cicerones.
So his is a bigger deal. He won't say it, but there's only about 150 advanced Cicerones in the world. So
wow,
it's a big deal.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We love beer. It's really fun.
So like this is what we're passionate about. I mean, that both of our exams, like your exam, I think was like 4 hours in person. The advanced is 8 hour.
Wow.
The Master Cicerone, which I'm studying for, I'll take eventually. There's about 20 of them. Is a 16-hour exam over 2 days. So it's pretty in depth because people think, oh, beer, like, haha, yeah, I love beer, like I love drinking beer, but they don't realize it's all science. So yeah, it's all like what you know, like how you put it into practice, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that really demonstrates something that we're really big on at our team because you have to like be a student of your industry, right?
Absolutely.
And as much as people joke, I mean, a 16-hour exam, like I'm out. Like I can tell you guys right now, and I've spent thousands of hours, practicing real estate and learning on that. But at the same time, I've gone to 2-3 day conferences and learned a lot of stuff too. So I think that's amazing, and that probably is one of the reasons why, with both of you having that kind of pedigree, like that goes a long way. Do you feel like that runs through the company that way? Because breweries are popping up all over the place.
Absolutely, yeah. Everyone and their brother gets the idea. Oh, we've homebrewed a few batches. Let's open a brewery out of the garage. What I will say is, Paul Hester, our CEO and founder, is really good about surrounding himself with the right people. So our team are all experts in their respective responsibilities. We're all about continuous improvement, learning from our past mistakes, staying up to date. So like Cicerone is a big one, going to conferences, like hanging out and just like interfacing with other people in the industry, because you got to stay relevant and you have to stay up to date. Just like you were talking about, last I checked, there were like in the 8 to 10,000 breweries in the U.S. It's a big number. And there are just as many opening as there are closing. And that's a scary situation to be in.
Yeah. And not whenever we talk about Cicerone, I always like to throw it in there. Like, we're no better than anyone else. Like, you don't need to be a Cicerone to open a brewery. You don't, like, there have been people, I mean, in Middletown now we have 4 breweries and they're all great. And it's such, like, believe it or not, it's such a collaborative community and there's no competition. And it's, like, we all want each other to succeed. So when we see breweries closing, it's scary. Like, it's tough right now.
But now you guys were also, I know Allie had sent me a link the other week and I voted for you guys.
Thank you.
But for what, I guess, to be the best brewery in the nation?
So we were lucky enough, we found out a little over a month ago that we were nominated by USA 10 Best as one of the best new breweries in the United States. And we were fortunate on Friday, we found out that we had actually won that.
Woo!
So we were.
I saw this prepping for the
Thank you.
show. I didn't know this was that kind of breaking news because I made the mistake of thinking you guys were coming on last week and this was not on your website. So congrats. That's
It
amazing.
released last Friday. Yeah, it's a really big deal, especially like we said, there's so many new breweries opening. We're just a brewery that in Delaware, about hour and a half south of Philly, but we are pushing forward strong enough that we're #1 in the past 3 years for new breweries.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It was definitely, we always talk about like we don't find enough time to have fun because we're always like so in it in the day to day. So that was really rewarding for all of us to be able to just sit back, celebrate like a big win, and like it was much needed, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the startup mindset is tough. Like when you're a new business, no matter what it is, I mean, it's real estate's actually not that different because there's so many real estate agents. There's a lot of breweries. The market gets kind of saturated, and how you differentiate yourself probably goes a long way. So all these things you're doing, I'd imagine that really helps the distribution because you talked about how picky people are. I've seen people stay in like these beer stores for like hours looking at what they're going to drink.
And I mean,
buy.
just look at the labels. Like it can be very overwhelming if you're standing at a beer store and all of them look like this under that fluorescent light. You're just like, I don't know what to do.
Right.
And then sometimes it's,
Did I
oh,
take
I'll just go
something
to
before I
the,
walked in here?
yeah, I'll just go to the one that I always drink. Like instead of, oh, I'll try something new. So while we're bringing that up, a cool feature that we do on all of our cans is we consider ourselves big beer geeks. So we include we call it a side panel. So it lists everything you could possibly want to know about that beer. The ingredients, the intensity of flavors, and then what we call the big three, so the tasting profile. Because a lot of the time you go into these stores and you see the name of the beer, but that's it. You're like, I do not know what this beer is about. So this kind of gives our customers a chance to say, oh, I like watermelon, I like sea salt, like this sounds like a great beer, I'll go for that. Whereas it may have not been apparent to them just staring at it amongst the hundreds of other beers that they were looking at. Yeah.
I mean, that to me is innovation because being a novice in this, you go in, and I've been to all these stores, and it's like, I mean, there's too much to pick from in a lot of cases. So that I think is going to really, I mean, that's a genius idea, and it's just so simple. And oftentimes it's the simple stuff and the simple innovations that can have the biggest difference with the customer base.
It's the same standard template on all the ones. We plug in all the information. We run our beers through taste panels, so we collect information there and put it on the cans for the customers to see.
All right, so these guys, you blew my mind during this interview. This was amazing. So we'll make sure to repost this. We're going to share it. It's firststatebrewing.com. You can follow them on Instagram. It is at First State Brewing, just like it's all spelled out on Instagram. You can follow these guys there. Thanks for coming on, guys. This was amazing. Sarah, way to set this up. That's it for this week's episode. We're getting played off. You want to follow Stacy? She's at the #2 Mitchko on Instagram. You can follow Sarah. She's at Ty_Ty Time. You can follow me at TomToole3RD, at TomToole3rd. And we're live every week on Toole Time, Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.